All right, party people, before we get knee deep into this episode of White Heat, I want to talk to you again about Mohawk Honda, our friends over at Freeman's Bridge Road in the Scotia Glenville area of upstate New York, or as they say, they always go out of their way to please you. You will be talking about trade-ins throughout the summer. It's still a hot topic because I know I've seen clips, for example, of a whole, thousands of pickup trucks just sitting on a speedway in Kentucky because they haven't been delivered to different dealers across the country yet. It's a topic. It's a hot topic. These small mom and pop dealers, I mean, they're nice to support. I usually like supporting mom and pop businesses, but in the case of cars, they don't have a whole lot for you right now. Yeah, they'll take your trade-in. Of course they will. They'll gladly pay you for a trade-in. It increases their inventory. But then they got nothing left to give you. That's why you got to go check out Mohawk Honda. Great people, local people looking to help other friends in their communities, because not only will they give you top dollar for your trade-in, but they have acres and acres of inventory to choose from. I know personally, my wife and I were looking at potentially trading in one or both of our vehicles for a newer used vehicle, and that's what you can do as well. The largest inventory of vehicles in the entire capital region here in upstate New York, and that means you can choose the right one that's for you. Yeah, there's dealers out there. They'll talk about their values and what they feel like they can bring to you, when really they're just looking out for their bottom line and their bottom dollar. But we want you to check out Mohawk Honda because of their values in selection and valuing on how you're treated as a customer at their dealership. So don't feel pressure into buying something from another dealer just because that's the best they can do when really you didn't really have a good look at any great selection. You got to go and check out the vast selection of certified pre-owned vehicles guaranteed to fit your needs and your lifestyle from Mohawk Honda, because this summer's selection is king and no one has more to choose from than Mohawk Honda. Freeman's Bridge Road, the Scotia Glenville area of upstate New York, well, they'll always go out of their way to please you. And that being said, hello, my little unicorns, my butterflies, my caterpillars. Welcome to episode 11 of White Heat. I'm just trying to make JJ pop right now, but...
We sure it's episode 11?
What's up?
I said, we sure it's episode 11?
Yes, I'm sure. Because you corrected me last episode, because I thought it was episode 9. It was really episode 10. So now I know how my shows are staggered. This show is technically based on taping terms 5 days ahead of my other podcast, so whatever. So this is episode 11 of this show. Yeah, I'm Brian Katie, that's JJ Alexander, and I'm pointing the wrong way because I'm a jackass. Presented by Mohawk Honda, as well as our new friends from Johnstone Supply, excuse me. So, yeah, and don't be an asshole, all right? Jesus Christ, we're only 3 minutes into this episode.
I'm putting in sponsorships.
If you want to catch our socials, our socials are down below. More here. There we go. Scrolling across throughout the course of the show. I'm going to smack the shit out you next time I see you. My Twitter handle is @BrianKatie. If you don't know how to spell it, I made sure I put a banner for my name. If you're watching on YouTube, and you can see it scrolling across. If you're just listening, though, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, whatever, yeah, it's BrianCady, all is one word. And if you don't know how to spell JJ Alexander, then you're fucking stupid. But his Twitter handle is JJ_Alexander. And then if you have any long-form questions, stories from live events, whatever you want to tell us, it's my name, Brian.Katie. Don't forget the dot in there, @GozillaMedia.com. GOZILLA media.com. I think that puts everything out of the way. We have what I deem is going to be an interesting episode today, because we're going to be kind of all over the place with different forms of topics. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about shitty promoters, one specifically. We're going to, obviously, AEW, WWE, all kinds of shit. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to come right out of the box with this. I'm coming right out of the box with our weekly AEW TF seg. And I'm going to start by embracing what, from the way they've been booking, I'm finally embracing what AEW executives have seemed to embrace. And And hell, maybe this was their goal from day one, and it just took me a year and a half to fucking embrace what they're doing. And when I say embrace, I mean tolerate. When I say tolerate, I mean there's nothing I can do about it, so fuck it. Basically, let's just put it this way. AEW is hotshotting themselves.
Oh yes.
Like there's no way about it. There's no creativity. As much as people like to think they're doing this, there is no long-term creative booking. Like the longest creative booking they have really is 6 to 8 weeks, maybe. As Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto starts playing in the background, apparently for Mr. Alexander. I literally
have my phone on Do Not Disturb, and that shit still went through.
Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Anyways, I don't know. That's kind of what the ringtone reminded me of. Anyways, like the longest long-term booking they have is really 6 to 8 weeks. And that's even being generous, honestly. The only reason I say that is because they've had this Cage Jones FTW thing going on. You could kind of say they've had this Christian Matt Hardy thing that's 30 years old going on. Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes has only been like a 3-week build, and that's going to end on their next episode of Dynamite. So that wasn't even a month-long booking.
This is the worst version of Spy versus Spy I've ever seen.
Page and Hangman, they shot themselves in the foot with that one on their most recent Dynamite episode, but that was only being built for a couple weeks. We'll get into why they shot themselves in the foot in a second, because they fucking forgot. I mean, it's just it's a, you know okay, I get it. I get it. Let this be an example, okay? No. I'm making sense of it as I talk myself through this, and then obviously I'll let you chime in because I've been talking way too long. This is why wrestling companies, I don't care if it's an indie company or major company, quote unquote major company like AEW. This is why wrestling companies should not have executives that are also talent. Because you look at where the talents have come from, the majority of them that are executives at AEW, Young Bucks, Hangman, Omega. The only person in the room out of these executives that's a talent that isn't an indie darling, more or less, is Cody. The rest of them they've all grown up with this indie. And I'm not trying to shit on indie wrestling, but it's honest. This indie mindset of booking. The problem is, when you hotshot yourself, you're not doing it because you have... This is the case where you have a show every 2 months or 3 months or even monthly. You have a show every fucking week. So now instead of hotshotting yourself with a month in between so people can kind of build up for the next show, there's only 7 fucking days. So you're completely stifling the creativity you could have, and you're completely fucking yourself out of your dream scenarios that people would like to see because you're deciding to rush the process by 10 times. I'm assuming I'm making sense to you from all this rambling, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like talent booking themselves in the main event is an archaic practice from the territories that just hasn't aged well. Who'd have thought? But anyways. So yes, and here's the thing. You can be indie and still know what the fuck you're doing. It all depends on where you came from. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. However, when I first got in the biz, the company that I was in, when we had the undertaking of opening up our own academy, we had a space, so we had overhead. So what did we do to what we did to help try to offset the cost of that overhead was, besides having new students come in, which that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day about how wrestling students never want to pay their fucking tuition. We would run weekly television tapings. We would put up a finished product online, but we would tape on Sundays. So we would literally be in contact with indie talent and be like, who can show up this week? You know, like, we can't afford to give you a lot, but we'll always feed you. And basically it was sort of a symbiotic relationship where it was, if you show up for at least 2 out of these 3 weeks, then at the end of the month, we have the big show, like the pay-per-view on the monthly on the Saturday. And that's where you get the bigger payday as a thank you for helping us carry through a story. And that was when I was really starting to learn how to book and how to book on the fly and how to figure out how to flesh out storylines. These guys have never done that. But nothing. Like, Cody would probably know what the fuck he was doing if he had gone the Triple H route. And I'm not talking about banging the boss's daughter. I'm talking about walking into production meetings and going, hey, how does this happen? Like, you see so many people talking in like the WWE documentaries about how Hunter wanted to learn about, listen, I want to figure out how this goes week to week and this, that, and the other thing. Cody could have easily done that and never did, because Cody was more worried about himself because he thought that his namesake would carry him throughout the years. The Bucks and Omega, same. They're just fucking, they're indie guys. A side story that I thought was funny. I had random YouTube shit on yesterday while I was doing some work. And one of the most recent Botchamania videos that came out, they have segments where they have like a certain person, like from a podcast or a dirt sheet or whatever, read segments from someone's biography. Okay. And it was, I think it was Sean Stapp from Fightful Select, was reading from the Yucks biography, which I didn't even know they fucking had. And read the excerpt about in 2009 in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, when basically like they were the tag champs for a year and then the fans started turning on them and they didn't know why. I was like, I can tell you why, because people were sick of your shit 12 years ago. But in your own fucking mind, you think you're fucking Hulk Hogan and you think that you know what the fans want. And it was funny because it was a prime example of, they worked a tag match against Danielson and Roderick Strong. And the whole point was Danielson and Strong were like, we'll get the crowd to cheer for you again, but we're going to have to stiff the fuck out of you for this whole match. And as they did, they stiffed the fuck out of him. And the crowd kept cheering for Danielson and Strong because they were like, yes, kill these fucking kids. And they were like, we don't understand why we weren't getting any sympathy. No one was giving you any sympathy because everyone was tired of your shit. That was then. Now you're on a national scale and everyone is tired of your shit. Nobody cares. You did the cardinal sin of putting almost all the titles on yourselves. Like, and it's been said, like, I don't have to fucking reiterate it, but I may have to for the layperson. Back in the day in the territories, the booker would put the title on themselves or a family member or whatever because they needed loyalty. They needed to know someone wasn't going to go off somewhere else, and they needed someone to be the champion, to spearhead the brand without walking off somewhere. That was the 70s and 80s. This is 2021. You have people under contract. You have people getting guaranteed money. You don't need to put the fucking titles on yourselves. You're doing it because of ego. Hey, no garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very archaic mentality and business model that they're using. There's no denying that. And
it's funny because it's funny because they try to say like, they bitch about people like Jim Cornette and saying like, your version of the wrestling industry is dead. It's not like this anymore. We're going to do 80,000 flips and no sell. Yet they're still using the old mentality of I need to be on top to get myself over. Like, it's such Fucking hypocrisy.
It hurts me to watch that product, and I forced myself through the most recent episode. Thankfully, it had been recorded on my DVR, and I watched it late enough where I could just zizz through 90% of the shit.
Jesus fuck, was last night terrible.
And we'll get to that in a second. One quick thing I do want to touch on, in general, is so obviously physically there's no update. Like Danielson and Punk didn't show up last night. But these jackasses at AEW revealed something on their on Dynamite. Because we all know that their new I'm not even sure you know where I'm going with this. Maybe you do. So we all know that Rampage is debuting on August 13th. That's their debut date for the new show on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
The second episode is going to be August 20th because, 13 plus 7 is 20. Mm-hmm. They announced the venue for 820. They're going to be in fucking Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know the kind of shit they're going to get? And in a way, they did shoot themselves in the foot because if Punk doesn't debut by or on that date, you know how much shit they're going to catch, even from their most devoted fans? Because you're setting yourself up into a booby trap, essentially.
Yep.
Where you, like, if the contract's not already signed, Tony better hurry the fuck up. Because if you go to that Chicago show having not debuted Punk yet, and you walk out of that show without a Punk debut, you're going to catch hellfire and brimstone. Because the other side of it is, not only did you book yourself in Chicago for your second show, your second episode of that show, that's SummerSlam weekend, motherfucker! Like, you would think, this is me hoping there's a level of intelligence in that executive's room. I'm not sure there is, but they better know what the fuck they're doing. Again, I'm stretching, but one would hope that for this specific scenario, they know what the fuck they're doing. Because if you're trying to take some of the shine off what WWE is doing in Vegas that Saturday and Sunday between SummerSlam and TakeOver, which is going to be pretty fucking hard to do considering you got Roman and Finn already booked. Cena's going to be in some kind of match. You're wagging your finger. I'll get to you in a second. Yep. But right now you have Roman and Finn booked. You got Cena in some kind of match. You got LSD versus Goldberg with a Big E cash-in. I'm not trying to spoil anything. That's just a prediction. Sorry. And who the fuck else is going to be booked then? Then the night after with NXT, you have Joe and Cross, which I know we'll touch on later. You have Walter Dragunov 2. My assumption is they're going to set up Cole O'Reilly 3 the way they're booking out right now.
Who called that 3 months ago?
Probably Swerve and Santos for the North American title the way booking is going.
Raquel and Dakota.
MSK and Imperium for the tag titles, more than likely. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gunn. Again, I'm totally spoiling us talking about NXT from this past week, but you get the point. They're putting together quality cards as expected because they're fucking WWE. So if you're AEW, You better fucking knock this August 20th show out of the ballpark, or you're going to be shit on the entire weekend by WWE, and they're going to make you look like the true minor leagues that you really are. But go ahead, JJ.
So, number one, they're running All Out in Chicago as well. By announcing that Rampage is going to be in Chicago. Is it All Out
in September?
Yeah.
You're going to the same town twice a month?
Yeah. Different arenas.
Dumb motherfuckers.
Different arenas. Well, because number one, so All Out is going to be where they did the original All In. Like, that's like, apparently they want to make that their like, what?
The Chicagoland area. Like, it's not in
Chicago.
Yeah, the
Chicagoland area. Yeah. So it's been announced for fucking like months that All Out was going to be in September. So everyone, the moment they started talking about Punk maybe signed, they're like, he's going to show up at All Out in Chicago. What they did last night was shoot themselves in the foot by saying, oh, we're going to be in Chicago for the second taping of Rampage. So now what they're doing is they're trying to spike the ratings for that show, which isn't going to fucking happen. But in the long run, they could have easily, if they knew what they were fucking doing, which they obviously don't anyway, so I don't know why I'm saying this, they could have dragged out teasing Punk for another fucking 8 weeks just to have him not show up. But I digress. Number two, they're running in the United Center in Chicago. You know when the last time there was a wrestling show in the United Center in Chicago?
Well, I'm assuming it was a WWE show, so let me think. Hang on.
It's not what you think it is.
What do you mean it's not what I think it is?
WWE, when they run in Chicago, they don't run in the United Center.
Well, for the longest time, they used the Rosemont Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Yeah. I'll save you.
I know they've done a United Center show at some point, just it hasn't been a while.
Right. So I'll save you the research.
Go ahead.
The last time WWE was at the United Center was in 2018 during the WrestleMania Revenge Tour. It was a house show. The last time the United Center was used for wrestling before that were for tapings of Nitro and Thunder in 2000.
Jesus.
The United Center is not a destination for wrestling.
Is it because of the seating capacity or the layout?
I'm pretty sure it has more to the layout than anything because it's set up like a basketball/hockey arena where it's like you're not from Connecticut, but like if you go to the XL Center where the Whalers used to play, the seats are really fucking steep.
Oh yeah, I can see that now with the pictures I'm looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And because that's where the Blackhawks play. So it's more,
and the Chicago Bulls.
Right. So it's not ideal for wrestling. Number two, the building's old as shit. Number three, they're going to be embarrassed. The reason they did it is because that building holds 23,000. They're doing it for a television show.
Sorry, I muted my mic. They're not even going to fucking come close.
Right. Like they're doing
the curtain off basically the top two
right
sections
now with episodes of Dynamite because they're running in places that hold 4,000 max.
Why would you try running a 23,000 seat arena when you know you're only going to fill the lower bowl at the most?
They think that they're going to do it because they're teasing Punk. No, that's not going to fucking work because no one watches your fucking show.
And not only that, you have a fucking pay-per-view the next month in the Chicago area.
Exactly.
So you've already fucked up the purse strings for people that would buy those tickets to start off. And second of all, knowing you have a pay-per-view going to the Chicago area in September, why the fuck didn't you just do the model people use for WrestleMania weekend and run your fucking show in Las Vegas?
Well, because number one, they can't find a fucking place in Las Vegas because they already ran fucking Double or Nothing there.
I think you're muted. Hang on.
Well, you just shook your shit, so
I can't hear your. Hold on.
Well, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You done yanked your shit and made it on mute.
I can't hear you. What the fuck did I do?
You fucked up.
I broke it. What did I do? Shit.
Let's see if I can fix this on my end. I doubt I can. I'm a microphone. Can you hear me now? You fucked up. I know it ain't shit on my side.
I'm an asshole. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
I can hear you now. I don't know what I do with my headset. I'm trying to figure out. This would make Botchamania if we had that. Let me see time.
Hello.
I can hear you. Can you still hear me?
That's fucking great. Oh wait, I think I know why. Hang on.
Derp.
How about I turn the volume back up on my fucking laptop?
This is what happens when you go full La Greca.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, I shook my MacBook. And I just spent the last 2 minutes complaining why I broke my headset when I somehow accidentally muted my fucking laptop because I'm a jerk. And if you're only listening to this on Spotify or Apple or Google Play, wherever you get your podcast audio from, you might want to go check out the visual of this. I'm going to time mark it for you. It's about 23 and a half, 24 minutes into the episode on YouTube. Yeah. Wow. That was fucking stupid. Any hooser. So anyway. I shook my laptop because I said they should have booked the Rampage in Las Vegas. What were you starting to say? There's no good arena unless they went to the T-Mobile arena. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. There's no good arena. They already ran Double or Nothing there. So they don't want to try going back to that market. They're literally
Chicago twice in a month
because they're trying to sucker the crowds. That's why they think that they have the smartest fans on the planet, but they also think they have the dumbest fans on the planet. And the truth lies somewhere in the middle. So you're teasing Chicago. You're teasing it for Rampage, which is your B show. So the fuck, bro. Like, no, you don't do that. And then on top of it, you're teasing that this person who is not going to show up is going to initially feud with Darby Allin. Because that's a dream match I want to see. I want to see a guy who is making the most money in the biggest company in the fucking world, who literally had the entire fucking wrestling world at the fucking grasp of every word he said, to feud with a 150-pound mid-card kid that skateboards.
Because why the fuck not?
Because why not?
All right, so let me get into what. See, all right, let me get into the only segment that bothered me from Dynamite. Because to be purely honest, I fast forwarded through 90% of it, so it's one of only 2 segments that I watched last night. Initially, the Space Jam cosplay annoyed me until I realized at the end of the Elite's entrance, they were doing it for promo money for the Space Jam movie that came out with LeBron James. So
you think they were doing it for promo money? They really weren't.
Well, it just happened to work out that way.
Yeah.
In the end,
No, the serendipitous moment happened far later in the broadcast, and I'll get to it.
So I was able to write that off in my mind. So I'm just going to let it go, even though Kenny Omega doesn't know how to dribble a basketball because he's a Canadian, eh?
We had this conversation. I'm not going there.
I'm not trying. All right. So for those of you, obviously you wouldn't know because it was a private conversation with me and JJ. We got into a whole Facebook Messenger argument during Dynamite about essentially about Kenny Omega really giving a shit about if he was Canadian or not, which got out of hand because that wasn't the point of my comment. The point of my comment was Canadians are hockey people, so of course he would know how to fucking dribble a basketball. And JJ decided to take it into a whole nother stratosphere that I'm not even going to bring up. But anyways, he's Canadian and he lives in Japan, so that's even more reasons for him not to know how to dribble a basketball because basketball is more of a China thing, not a Japan thing. But
so it's your excuse when he sucks at baseball.
Now you just can't do anything. So here's what got me last night. And it's going to transition into another topic I want to discuss. Our next topic that is not within the AEW TF umbrella. Actually, sorry, real quick. I do want to mention Cash Wheeler swerved me last night. Not on purpose. So towards the end of that tag match with Santana and Ortiz, when he got pushed down, I don't remember who it was, but they were setting up for the Power and Glory spot, the suplex and the top rope body slam. Yep. And whoever it was, I think it was Santana, did the push off on Wheeler from his feet on the top rope. And Cash came down and he smacked his right arm on the metal turnbuckle, the actual turnbuckle connection itself. And when he grabbed his arm, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, he tore something or broke his fucking forearm. And my wife was watching. She's like, oh, he's hurt. So we're both like, oh, Jesus Christ, what did he do? So they go into a quick finish, and Dash gets well, I think it was a small cradle or something. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Whatever, he gets the pin on Ortiz. He rolls out. They eventually show him checking on Cash. He just cut himself, and he was bleeding like a stuck pig, and that's why he ran to the doctor. But yeah. Anyways, I'm glad it was just a cut and not something more severe, but
right.
That was not the first time you'd see blood that night. Let's just say that. Now we get to what bugged me. You're not going to like the next three words that come out of my mouth. Fuck Nick Gage. Now
I'm not offended by that.
Now, this is not me saying fuck deathmatch wrestling, because even though it might not be my cup of tea, everybody has a niche in the sport, which is what Nick Gage is. His niche is deathmatch wrestling. So with that comes fans who fall into that niche with him. So I'm not calling out deathmatch wrestling. I'm calling out the fact, and actually on top of that, fuck Tony Khan. So fuck them both. I'm calling out the fact you brought a deathmatch wrestler onto mainstream television, knowing full well he's a deathmatch wrestler and not somebody who's going to give you a TV classic. Because let's be honest, last night was basically the Ambrose, holy shit. It was basically the Moxley Archer Texas deathmatch 2.0. Except instead of barbed wire, there was glass and light bulb tubes. Let's just be frank. That wasn't a death match.
Nope.
Okay? So you're bringing a death match guy that people know is a death match guy, thinking, oh, it's going to be a death match. You don't deliver a death match. And on top of that, the shit he does that isn't death match related looks like complete and utter shit.
Yep.
His kicks, his fucking like
judo throws.
The
trying to do
he's the only person I can compare it to. So you know how Cardona did the woo kicks from corner to corner?
Yeah. Those
looked like absolute shit. Even when they changed the camera angles so you didn't see the complete misses. His body looked stiff as a board, so anything technical Jericho tried doing looked like fucking green as shit. I mean, it was greener than the pants Cage was wearing. Like, it was, oh, fucking Jesus. It was an eyesore. It was a complete fucking eyesore.
You ain't lying.
And on top of that, you bring the deathmatch guy when clearly, A, some of the pizza cutter shit, he was basically rubbing the thing on him, wasn't really cutting Jericho on the forehead. And B, he was doing the same fucking thing with the light bulb tubes he broke. He was just placing it on the head and making it look like he was cutting him when he wasn't doing a fucking thing. So, not only did you make your show look like shit, not only did you make Jericho look like shit because his shit looked like shit because of Nick Gage, you made Nick Gage look like shit because half the shit he's doing didn't even pass the test of looking real. Which is why it was a bad idea to begin with, number one, to have Nick Gage as one of the labors of Jericho, because you're mentally projecting a certain product for that match to your fans. When clearly, when you're on cable television, you can't bring that product to cable television. And on top of that, speaking of hotshotting yourself from 15 minutes ago, you put a death match as the second fucking labor out of 5.
I pointed that out.
Yes, you did point that out. But for fuck's sake. And then your third labor is going to be a guy we haven't seen on TV in 20 years? Who I didn't even know was fucking wrestling anymore?
It hasn't been 20. It's only been like 14.
WCW hasn't been on the air since 2001. It's been 20 years.
Hoovy was one of the Mexicools.
Oh boy. He was a Mexicool. Son of a bitch. Let me look up.
He was on fucking SmackDown. It wasn't 20 years ago.
Last time he was on TNT was 20 years ago.
Okay.
So you bring back a guy that's been on TNT in 20 years, hasn't been on TV in 15, that probably nobody knew was still wrestling anymore unless you live in Mexico. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, let's be honest. Does anybody really fucking... No offense to Hoovy. Great talent back in the day. Does anybody really fucking care about a Juventud Guerrero Chris Jericho match in 2021?
No. Nobody.
What are we doing? Like, to me, what should have been done, you can tell me if I'm wrong, you started with Spears. Wardlow? Dash? Wheeler? Like, why not just run through Pinnacle and then get to Gage as number 5?
Because that would have been the obvious choice.
I just threw an empty water bottle. What are we doing? I can't throw the full one because I don't feel like getting up and picking it up, and I need a drink.
Oh, God.
Please tell me where I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. Like, it's... The thing is, I figured that would have been that would have been the route they went when they first went. Oh, you're going to have to go through 5 blah 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 to get to me. It's going to be you're going to have to go through all the members of the Pinnacle. And so they're like, no, we're going to swerve the audience. Yeah, you swerved them, all right. Swerved them right, hard turn into Assholeville. So yeah, as far as all of that is concerned, see, I'm not the biggest proponent of Nick Gage. Like, I understand, like, he's had a long road and he's gone through a lot of shit and he's trying to better himself, and I get all that. People who say he's the king of the death match, no, you're fucking wrong. Onita will always be king of the death match.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but like, someone was just like, greatest death match wrestler alive. I'm like Matt Tremont with like a fucking word. Because Matt, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Matt is 100 times better at death matches, and Matt can work a solid fucking match. This is why Matt is teaching now, because he can teach fundamentals of technical wrestling as well as death match wrestling. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize about Matt Tremont, was he was multi-versatile. So,
which is why you booked him for Credibles Farewell, but neither here nor there.
Partially, yes. And the thing is, like, like this goes back to that like giant argument I was having with that Mark that day, who was just like, "You're just a hater of deathmatch wrestling." Like, no, I'm sorry, but why the fuck didn't Gage ever seek out working Onita? All Tremont had to do was shoot a Twitter fucking promo, and boom, we're off to the races. Like, bare minimum of effort. Tremont just did it on a whim, and look, it happened. But that's neither here nor there. But yes, that wasn't a death match. That was a fucking garbage match. That was, oh, we're going to cash in on the fact that this guy did an episode of Dark Side of the Ring. The fact that Moxley fucking, like, is a fan of working with them, even though Moxley himself said he was unsafe. And, like... yeah, like we touched on last week, no one gives a fuck about Jericho doing the Painmaker gimmick because, like, not everyone watches Japan. And plus,
well, out of the crowd they had last night, probably 2% of them tops.
Yeah, exactly. They were in fucking Charlotte. Like, give me a fucking break. Stop it. Puppy being unruly. So it was just plunder for the sake of plunder. And like, they didn't even like tease it. They went straight from zero to light tubes. Like, the whole thing with the death match is you start off and you build your way. You start off with a cane. You start off with a chair. You start off with this. You work up to the light tube spot. You don't yank the light tubes out 30 seconds in. That's no. And the fact that they even did the fucking light tubes, like, they must have fucking offered Jericho extra money to do that shit. Meanwhile, I guarantee Nick Gage probably made about $2,000 last night. And he's not going to get used again. So what they did, what AEW did last night was work the boys. Because God fucking, like I sent that screenshot to you of like, I hope that Nick Gage is finally giving deathmatch guys a good name and getting us seen on a national. There's no us. There is Nick Gage getting a one-time paycheck. There is not you being signed by AEW to do death matches every week now. That's not what this is. It's like, oh yeah, we're finally getting. There is no we. There is you getting fucking worked because one fucking guy got booked for one fucking match. Which, in all honesty, shit's gonna fucking come back because TNT eventually is gonna look at, or you're just turn. It's AOL Time Warner. AOL Time Warner didn't want garbage like this when it was WCW and it was just straight wrestling. They're doing these fucking, they've been doing these no DQ matches every week, and you just did fucking light tubes on a fucking national stage. At any point during that show, did you see a Don't Try This at Home warning?
Nope.
Exactly. See, Vince may do fucked up shit, but he covers his ass.
Right.
They didn't. And so now what's going to happen when, oh, look, here comes YouTube videos of kids with light tubes. You didn't fucking think of that, did you? No. Like, there's a big difference between showing it on a documentary series and showing it in real time. And it just fucking baffles me. And like, plus, it's like, that match lasted, what, 10 minutes? Like, watch any match from Tournament of Death except for the one where Nick Gage almost died fucking a minute in. Like, fucking, those matches go more than 10 minutes. There's like you mentioned, there's actual wrestling involved in them. It's not just smashy, smash. But Gage is not technically sound. And like I said, with that same argument I had with that idiot that day, I was just like, it goes to prove, like, one of the people he was calling a deathmatch hater, who is the biggest cactus jack mark on the planet, by the way, Ron Zombie. Ron Zombie is the worker, not the mark. Ron was trained by Killer Kowalski. Nick Gage was trained by John Zandig. Like, There's no comparison. Zandig is garbage. Sorry. He's a garbage person and he's a garbage worker. I don't really give a fuck if he ever finds out I said that. Here's the problem is, and here's the other thing, what I really love that people thought was going to happen. There were people like, oh, Matt Cardona's going to come out and cost Gage, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, AEW is not going to give GCW any free fucking press. Like, one of the only reasons they fucking pulled that shit was to take their title off Gage because they knew Gage was doing the job on Monday. And even though it would be doing the job to Chris Jericho, one of the most decorated fucking champions in wrestling history, nope. Can't have us look bad. Can't have our champ do the job. So we got to take the title off him. That's the only fucking reason they did that. Which is really fucking sad. Because once again, this isn't the territories. Like, there was indie bullshit like that going around back in the early 2000s when I first got in. I remember fucking when I first got in the business, there was a show I was at where I watched a match between Slick Wagner Brown and Jay Lethal. It went to a 20-minute time limit in 10 minutes. And I was like, why the hell did you do that? And they were like, oh, because Fat Frank from Jersey All Pro called up and said, don't job out my champion. I'm like, we're in Connecticut. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, people, one moment. No.
But it just goes to show that, like,
I'm going to get the spray bottle for the dog and use it on the wrestling fans.
I mean, it just goes to show that fucking, which is interesting because I kind of want to, that's what I wanted to transition out of the AEW stuff to, was the GCW stuff. Like, it's just, that mentality is just it's so outdated. It's completely outdated. And then to go into what you were bringing up with the Cardona title change, oh man, how should I put this?
I mean, it got them press. It got him what he wanted. It got them noticed.
Do you remember a couple weeks ago when that dumb fuck stormed the ring during the MJF Jericho segment?
Yeah.
And then professed his undying love for Jim Cornette, and Cornette had to go on air and basically say, I didn't tell that motherfucker to do that.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember what we said that week on air? We basically came out and said that just because you've been locked up for a year and a half doesn't mean you can come out and act an ass.
Yes.
Let this be another example. Because I understand it's a deathmatch crowd. It's a rabid fan base. Blah, 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 blah. That doesn't excuse throwing glass beer bottles at a talent when they're in the ring. Now, I understand the atmosphere.
Like, this is something that happened in Puerto Rico to this day. Like, it's happened in Memphis. You really can't.
Puerto Rico, they would throw cups full of piss at you, all right? They would throw
glass bottles, too.
All right. Like they would, like, Puerto Rico's had a long-standing reputation for decades about that shit.
True.
All right? There's no place for shit like that. There isn't. Like, all you're doing is taking what's already an unsafe working environment with the kinds of matches they're doing. When I say unsafe working environment, obviously the workers know what they're getting into, but because of the type of matches they're doing, it is an unsafe working environment because you never know what kind of injuries you might walk out with.
Right.
So you're already taking an unsafe working environment and exponentially raising it because now you're all throwing shit at Matt, who doesn't know where it's coming from, what it could be.
Right.
Like,
not only that, but I also put a bit of blame of this on the booker, because the booker, and here's something that most people don't think of. The booker finds the venue, or the booker / promoter. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy in the case of Game Changer.
I think it is.
Yeah. So you know what you're going into. You know what you're going to fucking book. You're booking venues that, if there's a cash bar,
you're fucked. You're fucking yourself into a corner.
Right. You're the one that booked the place that serves glass bottles. There's a reason why when you go to large concert venues, everything's in plastic bottles or plastic cups. And like, yeah, it really limits the selection. Trust me, like, as a beer snob, I don't like going to a major concert and having my choice and be Bud Light or Miller Lite. Go fuck yourself. But it's a safety issue. You booked that venue. You saw what they had. That's your own fucking fault. Like, we can leave the plants in the crowd here nor there because apparently they're saying, oh, we didn't have plants, even though it was more than Meltzer that reported that there were plants. I don't care here nor there. It was people acting a fucking fool, which is completely hilarious as well, because if you watch it's funny how they show the video of trash getting thrown at Cardona. What they don't show is the other video of the finish of that match where Cardona wins and the crowd popped. But then, now we got to start throwing shit. Like, you can't have it both ways.
And the argument about plants is null and void anyways, because how should I put this? People mimic other people's behaviors.
Right.
So you can't tell me everybody that was throwing shit were plants.
Well, no, I don't think everyone.
Like, think of it this way.
Plants started throwing shit and everyone else joined in.
Right. Here are the two best examples I can give you. Number one, I don't quote me on the year. It was probably like 95, 96, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
There's the infamous clip of Funk and Cactus Jack having a match at the old ECW arena.
Chair.
Funk asks for a chair, and instead of one chair, it becomes 120 chairs on top of Jack in the middle of the ring.
Yep.
And somebody coming on, I'm assuming it was the ring announcer coming on halfway through, the chairs being tossed and saying, "Do not throw chairs into the ring." And they still kept throwing fucking chairs.
Yep.
Secondly, when Hogan did the infamous turn at Bash of the Beach in 96? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever. When he does the turn at the Bash down in Daytona.
Yep.
Once one piece of trash got thrown in the ring, guess what happened? The ring filled with trash.
Someone tried running the ring that night too.
Yes, right. Because it happened right before Gene started his interview. To the point where Okerlund is like, I'm stepping in a fucking garbage can right now. What is this? Like, you can see the look on Gene's face. I mean, granted, part of it was playing up what Hogan just did, but the other part of it was probably him thinking, what the fuck is going on here? All right? Like, people mimic other people's behaviors. So once one person starts throwing trash, other people are going to start throwing trash.
You know what always bothered me about that segment to this day?
Go ahead.
You always see the clip where Okerlund talks about how he was interviewing and fucking someone threw in an egg and it just bridged him by the nose. Who the fuck brings an egg to a wrestling show, is able to cradle it that whole time without it breaking, and gets that kind of precision? Like, there's a plant. That
was a bit much. But anyways, so yeah, I want to clear the air on that. See, I don't know all the names and details behind this, so I'm not going to transition into the official second edition behind the Black Ball, but it kind of goes to that a degree. And I think you know where I'm going with this, because we both discussed it a day or two ago.
Okay.
So on Twitter a few days ago, Deonna Purrazzo and Renee Michelle both came out and said basically, don't go to this indie show, go get your money back, blah, 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 blah. Saying they both weren't going to be in attendance for this show. Now, initially, because there was no proper research done, the initial reaction I had was, the fuck are they both backing out of the same show for? Plus, they were both booked in the same Fatal 4-Way match.
Right.
So I'm thinking, the fuck is this? I did a little digging.
Oh, okay.
The promoter booked that Fatal 4-Way women's match without ever officially booking Purrazzo, Michelle, or Holiday. He only booked one of the 4 chicks and he said we're going to be in that match.
Yeah, I wonder who was going over.
So essentially, this promoter, and I'll even fucking blow it up. It's New Breed Entertainment Wrestling, NBE, based out of Messina, New York, which is
on the Canadian border.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Like, I'm going to try to find the poster here. Hang on. Like, I saw this shit and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
It's subject to change.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, dude,
although, by the way, that phrase is not on the poster. Look at the poster. It has the MBE logo on top, and it says presents Genesis, the new beginning. And then there's a poster, and then underneath that are pictures of each girl in 4 corners.
Right.
We have Deonna and Michelle on top, and then Holiday and Amber Nova underneath. And then a picture of the belts in the middle of the 4 women. And it says New Breed Diamond Division Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way. Tickets available, blah, 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 blah. And then it says the date August 1st, which is this coming Sunday, because we're taping here on Thursday, July 29th. Messina Arena, Messina, New York. This dipshit didn't even book the 3 girls not named Amber Nova.
And Amber Nova just did the job on AEW Dark.
Like, how much of a jerk-off do you have to be to commit that kind of false advertising? Like, I understand if you advertise a match and it doesn't happen because something last minute comes up. It happens everywhere. Shit happens, all right? People's cars break down. People have family medical emergencies. It is what it is.
Yeah.
When you blatantly advertise a match you know ain't ever going to fucking happen just for the sake of selling a few extra tickets to your indie show, suck a dick.
And dude, like, if you're going to pull that shit, go balls out. Use bigger names than Deonna Purrazzo and Renee Michelle.
Well, I mean, Deonna is Impact champion, has been champion for a year. Like, that's not the worst name in the world, but I get what you're saying.
And it's Impact. How many people watch Impact?
Having been to Messina, you never know.
Like, I shouldn't say Thunder Rosa. Like, fucking.
I really don't understand. Like, you and I can embrace this because we've been around long enough with. I'll never understand any promoters that do this shit. And the thing is, this isn't even like a rare occurrence. This seems to be a common occurrence, not necessarily with this promotion, just in general.
For 20 years, dude.
Like, what the fuck?
Dude, fucking, especially like around here, like Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine in the early 2000s would constantly book fake shit. Like, they would book a fake Ultimate Warrior named One Warrior Nation.
I remember hearing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they would do shit like that all the time. The best one about it, though,
I haven't heard One Warrior Nation in a long time.
The best one about that, though, was fucking Bruiser Costa used to promote shows, but he always like did gimmick shit where he would like change the names just slightly.
Oh my God.
But the thing was, you knew that that's what you were getting when you went there. Like, it was kind of like his staple. Like, he would book like. He would advertise Yokozuna, but it would be like Yakazona. like shit like that. And it would be like a white guy that would weigh like 400 pounds that would come out in a sumo diaper and shit. I mean, but like the shit was funny. Like I remember he actually advertised one show as 3D wrestling, and he sold 3D glasses at the door for like an extra like $2. And people bought them.
Wow, people are really fucking thick. Holy shit.
Listen, Lobster Man knew how to do some shit.
I mean, good on him for baiting and switching people like that, but Jesus Christ. Oh my God, how thick do you have to be? By the way, you mentioned that Yokozuna thing. It made me think of the one time I was doing a pre-show act before an Impact house show years ago.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Yeah. So Impact was running house shows. This was it was summer of 2012, maybe.
Okay.
It was back when Rude was the champ.
Okay.
So it sounds about right. So it's summer of 2012, and they're running a house show in Albany, New York.
Uh-huh.
And I was still doing sports radio at the time, and I was filling in the day of the house show. I was filling in doing the early afternoon radio show, the early afternoon local show.
Mm-hmm.
And coincidentally enough, we had been playing commercials for the house show, and the sales rep booked 2 wrestlers to come in for interviews on the show I was filling in for. And I'm like, fucking A. I know this is turning a short story into a long story, but you'll appreciate it, I think.
You were expecting names and you got like red shirt security.
No. This is what's fucking great. I didn't know till day of those interviews, while I'm show prepping, who was coming in.
Okay.
They brought me Mickey James and Robert Roode.
Oh, wow.
Right? And I'm like, holy shit. Like, so, and at this point, I'm just starting.
So you're still in like Mark mode.
Right. But I played it cool. I'm fine. But here's the thing, because this is something I'm not sure wrestlers get a whole lot when they go to a radio interview, especially when it's a medium market and not a bigger market like a New York or a Chicago or LA.
Yeah.
So they come in. I have like a 3.5-minute break to give them an idea of what we're gonna do.
Right.
So I bring them in, shake hands, kiss babies, whatever, and I'm like, the first question I ask them is like, so do you want to do this in character or as yourselves? And you should have seen the look Mickey James gave me. And it wasn't a bad look. It was a, oh my God,
someone knows what they're doing.
This kid kind of knows what they're doing. And they're like, I don't care. And Bobby was like, I don't fucking give a shit. He was clearly half out of it. I don't know if he was drunk from the night before or probably just tired. Yeah. And he brought the title with him, by the way. And I was like, that I almost marked out for him. Like, nope, don't recognize it. Don't recognize it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. So it turned out to be a great interview, and I knew we were going to the show. I just didn't know if we were doing anything.
Okay.
So showtime is 7 or 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
The sales rep comes in after the first segment of the next show, so it's like 3:20, 3:30 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, how do you guys feel about doing a sumo contest before the show? I'm like, my ass ain't fit. Now, I wasn't as fat as I am now. Full disclosure. But even back then, I'm like, my ass is not fitting into one of those sumo suits you just brought in.
The big inflatable gimmicks?
Not even. Not even. They weren't inflatable. They were just regular sumo suits.
Oh.
And she's like, well, what about, because the diaper part, quote unquote, was detachable from the rest of the suit. So she's like, why don't you just put the thing on, see if that fits well, and if it does, just go out with that and like a t-shirt or sweatpants. I'm like, bitch, you're smart. And sure enough, it fit well. So we end up getting in the arena and we get dressed, whatever. And we did a whole gimmick thing where I beat the small, skinny-ass afternoon drive host, and then his board op came in, and they did a 2-on-1 match afterwards. And by the way, the special ring announcer and referee for that, Dalton Castle, because he was still working the rock station in my building.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's my story about working at an Impact house show. So, and that was also the same night I met Kurt Angle.
Nice.
Which yeah, not bad. Anyways, humble brag. I don't know if it's really a brag, but because it's Impact, but still kind of cool.
Yeah.
So let me go. I was debating between which one of two topics I want to get into. Let's go into this one real quick. This is something I didn't bring up to you pre-show because I just want to throw it out there. So we're getting to a point where there's a few contracts out there that are either expiring or have talent options to be picked up in the next 6 months. Four of which technically, four of which are WWE contracts ending within the next 5 to 6 months. One of which is an ROH contract that has a wrestler option that he could pick up for 2022, but expires at the end of 2021. So here are the four WWE contracts. Riddle ends next month in August. Sami Zayn ends, I don't have a specific date, but it ends sometime in the fall of this year.
Okay.
And then both Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins expire at the end of the year. Now, the ROH contract, which intrigues me, that's an option for pickup, is Shane Taylor. So, that all being said, here's my thought.
Okay.
Riddle's not going anywhere, number one.
No.
The profits aren't going anywhere.
No.
So it really comes down to, A, is Sammy's body willing to continue, which I think it is.
Yeah.
Then the second part of it is, does Shane want to stay with the safe option and pick up his 2022 contract? Or does he want to take a shot?
So, and I like Shane Taylor. I just don't see him getting, unless he goes to Japan, I don't see him getting much traction anywhere else. Impact has kind of blown its load on picking up ex-WWE guys. AEW doesn't really and they don't really give a thought to Ring of Honor people. And unfortunately, WWE right now, not to sound like a stereotyping person, but they already have two big fat black guys who are on TV with Keith Lee and Odyssey Jones. They're not going to really, Vince isn't going to care about another one.
Fair.
You know, especially
his best option would be, so in no particular order, you're thinking Japan.
Or stay in ROH.
Yeah.
Or if you can get money out of MLW.
MLW could definitely be intriguing.
Yeah. I'd pop for a good fucking Shane Taylor versus Jacob Fatu feud.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think Shane's caught between a rock and a hard place because, like you said, the E already has Keith Lee and Odyssey.
Yep.
And
Top Dollar if you really want to mint tears.
He's strictly a tag guy right now, and I don't see him ever doing anything as a single, so I don't even think about Top Dollar. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. Bad timing, really, is what it comes down to. Just bad timing right now. Like, this had been 2 years ago, maybe, because they only had Keith Lee at the time. But, I don't know. Just an option to throw out there. Now, let me bring up one more thing before we get into our WWE talk and then get into the hot list. Now, I'm not trying to scare people. But let's be real. Let's have real, recognize real here for a second. as predicted by medical professionals, COVID is starting to grow again. And this isn't even a politics thing. This isn't a vaccine. This isn't me getting on my pedestal about vaccines, because it's happened to both vaccinated people, particularly ones who got the single shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and it's happening with unvaccinated people too. Both are getting COVID. So this is not a political speech. Nice mask. Thank you very much. I'm fucking 3-hour drive away from you. You don't need a mask, jackass. But point being, so obviously, number one, first and foremost. Oh, by the way, including this COVID outbreak is Jeff Hardy, which explains why he wasn't on TV Monday. Because apparently, and here's because I literally just found this out from listening to a snippet of Jim Cornette this morning.
It was a concert promoter that let people know, not WWE. Yeah,
because Hardy booked himself for a concert after Raw was going to be off the air. WWE didn't disclose the COVID information for whatever reasons. It could have been professional, health, whatever. But the concert promoter learned the real reasoning, and that's how it got out that Jeff tested positive for COVID. Anywhozer, so now it's back in the WWE backyard, and they have to be supremely careful. But then also, so do all these promotions that are traveling. AEW people need to be careful. Impact was about to go back on the road to Nashville and wherever else they're going to go. They need to be careful. MLW, they need to be careful. Ring of Honor needs to be careful. They're back on the road. So if things get bad enough, I believe wrestling fans should mentally prepare themselves for Shutdown 2.0. I'm not just talking about your restaurants. I'm not just talking about stores going back to limited hours that were 24 hours. I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about you should mentally prepare yourself if things get bad enough towards the end of 2021. Mentally prepare yourself for the possibility of Thunderdome 2.0. And
dude, Vince already had a plan.
Like, be prepared. That's all I'm saying. Like, just because I think people they're all yippee-ki-yay and excited about being back on the road, which they should be, but just be prepared for this being a temporary thing potentially if COVID keeps growing and becoming a wider spread problem again, like it was.
I called it a couple of months ago when I was talking about like they were when they were opening back up again. I was just like, if you look at the schedule, when they switched Hell in a Cell and Extreme Rules is back at the Yuengling Center where the Thunderdome is. I mean, granted, yes, they took it down, but literally up until Extreme Rules, there's no, up until a couple weeks before that, there's no more tour dates that they've announced. They knew that, and honestly, it may not be so much they knew as this may be Vince's new norm, where he's like, you know something, we're going to put out people to tour from X date to X date to promote the big four pay-per-views, and the rest, we're going Thunderdome all year, baby, because it's his echo chamber. And he can do what the fuck he wants and dictate to the fans what he thinks is right. So it may have been Vince's ego, but they already have a plan B in backup. As it is, I don't know if you saw it. It was just announced this morning. Nevada, the county that Vegas is in, just announced a mask mandate across the board. So now, if you go to SummerSlam, you got to wear a mask. That I pity security at that stadium that day, because you know you're going to get so many drunk, unruly assholes who are going to start shit.
Why do I need to wear a goddamn mask?
I got the stupid shot from it. Dude, I posted some shit on Instagram about that, something Danny Cage from the Monster Factory posted about how you know, you're costing us the most amount of money, those being us, us wrestling promoters. Like, you're killing our livelihood by doing this because we can't run fucking shows. And this stupid ass like cam girl that I don't even fucking follow was just like, "You're a fucking fool. I stayed in, so I don't need to get it." I'm like, "Yeah, blocked, whatever. Fuck you, bitch."
Right.
Like, so, like, you're a cam girl.
Be prepared and keep your mask, Sandy. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah.
So let's get right into WWE talk quick from the week that was in TV. I mean, the biggest things that came out, SmackDown number 1, Paul Heyman is still fucking amazing.
The eliminated Roman's missionary joke from the Hulu replay.
Oh my God. Did that come up? Did he think of that, or do you think that was spoon-fed to him?
I don't know. Roman had a little bit of swagger when he said it.
He did.
Like that wasn't the suffer and succotash promo. That's what I'm going, I can be a dick. Watch this.
I want to know what Vince saw when he came back through the curtain.
As we've learned, like everything, like I would love to say that it was Roman doing it off the cuff, but I guarantee, like everything is scripted now. Everything.
Yeah. Shame.
Because I don't know if you. One of the recent episodes of Cornette's podcast, apparently someone came across a script from SmackDown that was like left. Like,
yeah, I didn't listen to his segment when he was reading it off or whatever, but I did see that, yes.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what really stood out to me from this SmackDown. Well, first off, it was a split SmackDown, meaning most of it came from Cleveland, but then they did the Street Profits and Bianca Belair matches from Rolling Loud Festival, which isn't segmenting your crowd at all. Let's put 2 of our most over African American acts at a hip hop festival.
Get behind the darkness.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh my God. I will leave that alone. But on the other half of it, that crowd had no fucking clue what was going on. It was like those matches went over like a fart in church, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't the same as when like NXT UK does the Download Festival. It was not the same.
Not even close. Anything else really get me? I mean, obviously the way it ended with Roman and Finn basically setting up SummerSlam.
It's not going to be SummerSlam. It's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. We're still going to get Cena and Roman at SummerSlam.
Whatever.
It's the bigger selling thing. Like, it's good to have Finn come back, but this is good to get Finn back in the main event picture, but Finn will get fucked by the Usos, which will still keep him strong. And that we can get, because they gotta do Cena versus Roman at SummerSlam, because they need to start, because they don't want to have overlap when it comes to Survivor Series when Rock shows up.
Right. Fair enough. The only other thing I thought was worthwhile, I liked the Edge and Rollins segment. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I liked the segment. I mean, it wasn't all world, but it accomplished what they needed to accomplish. Let's just put it that way.
We're not getting Cardi B at SummerSlam now.
Really?
Yeah, no, they're bringing in Snoop Dogg instead.
I wonder what happened there.
She probably wanted more money, and Snoop was just like, "I'm already here, and we
gotta wear masks. I need more money."
No, Snoop would be like, I'll bring out my cousin again, yada yada, all that shit, be all good. But no. You know what my honesty thing is? They heard my idea for Cardi B and Bayley doing WAP, and then Bayley got hurt, so now they can't do it, so they pulled it.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
I'm telling you, that would have been money.
Fucking jerk off. Unbelievable. You want fucking Bayley dancing to WAP. You fucking weirdo.
I want Bayley rapping to WAP.
Oh, no, you'd want Rhea Ripley dancing to WAP.
Hello.
You didn't even catch what I just said, did you?
No, and I don't care.
No, you should care. I said you'd prefer Rhea Ripley dancing a WAP.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't?
Her boyfriend? I don't know. Anyways, who is that? Anyways,
he's just what do you call it?
Just an NXT trainee or train?
No, he's like a personal trainer.
Oh, I thought he was in the PC. Okay.
No, not that I can recall.
Yeah, we'll kick his ass. Anyways,
nah,
I'm kidding. All right, what stood out from Raw? Your best friend beat Sheamus. That's nice. Oh my god!
You know what's super fucking sad about that match?
We're gonna get what you called. We're gonna get it.
What?
You called a Damian Priest U.S. title run. We're gonna get it.
No, I didn't call it Damian Priest U.S. title run. I just said, oh, great, you go from injuring the Golden Boy to getting a U.S. title shot. Like, that makes sense. No, it's not going to happen. You know why? Fucking, no, Monday was a litmus test. You know why? Priest came out, nobody cared. And number two, here's what's fucking sad. Priest and Sheamus came from the same trainer. And that match was god-awful.
I thought Sheamus was trained in Europe.
Sheamus trained at the Monster Factory.
Oh, that's bad.
Literally, Danny Cage right now, his posters show Sheamus, Damian Priest, and Riddle being like, you know,
one of these things is not like the other.
Well, no, but just like the most recent, like WWE guys that trained at the Monster Factory.
Again, one of these things is not like the other.
Right. But the thing is, like, I'm sorry, but for two guys that had the same trainer, which means they know the same exact fundamentals, that match was fucking clunky and bad. Like, and I'm not putting all the blame on Damian Priest, although I gladly would. It goes on both of them.
What else stood out? Oh. WWE Creative fucked up on something.
You don't say.
Well, not creative, but whoever was the agent for one match fucked up.
Which one?
Let me ask you a question. When wrestler A brings a foreign object into the ring and wrestler B ends up countering and using the object against wrestler A, since when does wrestler A get disqualified for that?
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
You know the match I'm referring to then.
I'm trying to, which fucking match was that?
Drew McIntyre and Veer. Veer brought in a chair, but McIntyre claymore the chair into Veer's face, and McIntyre was awarded the match by DQ.
Because technically, so here's the convoluted.
Oh, we're gonna get technical here, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back and relax.
Here's WWE convoluted bullshit. Because Drew used that chair as an assist to his move, I know it sounds stupid as shit. Because Drew used it as an assist to his move, Drew was technically using the weapon. Basically, if Drew had sweep the leg Johnny and knocked the chair out and then claymored him, it would have been okay. If Drew had punched him in the gut, it would have been okay. If Drew had yanked the chair away and threw it out of the ring, it would have been okay. But because Veer was holding the chair and Drew went, I'm going to use this to my advantage, boom, that's a DQ.
That makes no sense.
Oh, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But
that makes zero sense.
I know.
By the way, poor Ray and poor Warbeard. They had a job out to AJ and Omos for the tag titles.
Don't worry, it'll be over soon.
Yeah, I know.
Soon as Braun comes back, Mutombo going to go back to fucking guarding the door outside Raw Underground that doesn't exist anymore.
In the battle of who's going to be buried more, Cross ends up beating Keith Lee.
So I do not believe the reports that Cross was supposed to lose again 2 weeks in a row. I don't believe that. What I think would have happened, and I think if they hadn't announced the whole Jeff really has COVID thing, I think they would have played out Cross beating someone and then being like, where the fuck is Jeff Hardy? He's ducking.
Right.
But unfortunately, because he has COVID, you can't go that route.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, with his match with Keith Lee, they should have had Keith pass out in the straitjacket. If Keith passed out, Cross would have looked strong. It would have been a lot less sweat on Keith. And they could both go forward. Because obviously Keith Lee has something to get off his chest. He put out a tweet saying, I need to tell my own story, and I'll do it with just give me a week or two. You know what's really hilarious is the bullshit Brian Alvarez pulled where he's like, oh, he wrote this other tweet saying, I come back and I get buried 2 weeks in a row. And then WWE made him delete that tweet. But amazingly enough, the only person in this universe that has seen that tweet is Brian Alvarez. No one else has seen it. No screenshots, nothing. Just Alvarez said it happened.
You know they make shit up there.
Oh, I know.
Look at who his fucking mentor is.
I know. But it's just funny because usually, like, even like the Orange Goblin that used to fucking live in the big house on Pennsylvania Ave would delete tweets and people would still be like, look, here's a screenshot. It actually happened.
The Orange Goblin. Sorry.
I do not say that fuck's name.
Okay.
Send all email to the citizen below.
Yeah, fuck you, because I have to read it, not you. Poor Chris had a job out to Mansoor and Ali. Fuck.
See, that's what's going to be sad is fucking Mansoor is going to win the U.S. title in Saudi Arabia. If they don't have the two of them fucking beat AJ and Omos with tag belts.
That was actually what I was just about to say. Thank you.
No, I don't think that's going to be good enough. I think because we, like I mentioned, we didn't even get to it. The fact that it was released that, yep, the Saudi Prince books those shows, top to bottom.
LSD jobs out Cedric and Shelton, and
the fuck was the point of that?
I don't know if that was a handicap match or a triple threat. It was
a handicap.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I don't think it's like, let's revisit the fact that the Hurt Business isn't together anymore. Like what WWE shops, like, we still got a couple of these in the clearance bin for $2. Quick, remind them it happened. So we don't have to send these to Ghana and fucking Liberia. New WWE Championships comes this week.
Although, actually, because we just mentioned the tag titles, I feel like they're more setting up for Orton to come back with Riddle.
Hey, good luck with that, because the reason Orton's out is because of wellness.
Well, no, I'm just saying, the way they had AJ and Omos not interfere, but distract Riddle so Johnny Drip Drip could beat Riddle this week.
Right.
So one would assume one means the other.
So the whole point was to get RK Bro to the tag title situation just to have Randy turn on him. But I'm pretty sure that ship has sailed with Randy done fucking up and being out because of wellness. Because if you haven't noticed, fucking Riddle's starting to get the rub from Cena now. So he doesn't need the rub from Orton.
Because they both happen to be saying bro on mic, whatever. Anyways.
Because they had the opening segment and they did a tag match as a fucking dark match after coming off the air. They're anointing that kid.
Right. And then Reginald gets the Sin Cara entrance, and that's pretty much it.
Since when does a 24/7 title have matches?
With R-Truth on a live mic during the match.
Right? And like the dumbest shit ever too. It's like, remember like last year when they were in the PC and it was just like, and like they would have like tag team match or whatever, or like they would have singles matches. I think when like Elias was the 24/7 champion, where they're like, the 24/7 titles rules are suspended for the duration of this match. Now all of a sudden the 24/7 rule has matches. Like, you can't fucking have it both ways. Like, dude, like it's
Vince. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
It's like they're trying to keep Cirque du Soleil dude relevant while he's got the last few weeks left on his contract or some shit.
Whatever.
Like, can we get the trade back? Can we get Mason Ryan back now?
You're kidding, right?
Well, because he went to Cirque du Soleil. So, like, can we get him back now?
Oh. Anyways. NXT, Ridge Holland returned to help Oni and Pete Dunne.
Here's my issue with that.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Like, I don't mind it. Like, because obviously that was the plan originally, was the stable that Pat McAfee was forming was with Dunne and Ridge.
Right.
Oni's the one that injured him. Why is he siding with him?
People remember shit. You know that.
NXT fans do.
That was a while ago, though.
That was when Ridge got injured. Notice how they didn't show how Ridge got injured. Because they're just trying to sweep it under.
It was also a long time ago.
Well, because remember, Ridge was about to get pushed for the fucking title against fucking Finn. And now they have to be like, yeet. So...
And they're also probably looking for somebody to cover for Birch while he's gone.
They're looking for someone to cover for Birch, but what they're going to end up doing is having fucking Ridge be the one that takes the fucking title off fat ass Joe after fucking Joe fucking has to fucking make Cross do the job.
Which was the next segment was Joe getting reinstated. Good transition. Our boy Carmelo Hayes goes over Josh Briggs.
There was something wrong with that match.
You're not the only one that thought that. Good job.
It was clunky, and dude, Briggs put on some weight, not in a good way.
Yeah.
I love Josh, and I love fucking Casanova. Like, and they came from the same trainer. How can you? Same thing with fucking Priest and Sheamus. How the fuck can you have that clunky of a match?
Maybe the weight fucked up.
No, you know what it is?
What?
If you've noticed with NXT, especially since Vince visited the PC, everyone is working at a slower pace now. Because Vince's whole thing is NXT looks too indie. They're supposed to be here to learn how to work my style. And that's
I have nothing. We finally got Dakota Kai turning on Raquel.
Gee, who didn't see that coming?
Right. More shit with the Robert Stone brand that nobody really cares about. Shout out to Trevor Lee hitting LA Knight in the nuts with a driver. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So you know that, I don't know if it's pre-tape for next week or it'll be the week that comes back, but you know we're going to see Grimes and LA Knight against the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Right.
Yeah.
Eichner and Bartel go over Adonis and Top Dollar, which brings me to something that I didn't like. 3 matches with interference to lead to decisions in that show in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
Once again, Vince shows up. All of a
fucks
sudden,
everything up.
Shit looks like Raw and SmackDown.
And then Cole goes over on Bronson Reed. O'Reilly attacks Cole after the match, which, like I mentioned earlier, pretty much sets up O'Reilly Cole 3, which I'm assuming will be a takeover.
Right, which I called back at O'Reilly Cole 1. I was like, you're going to have one win the other. We're going to have rubber match where loser leaves fucking NXT at the takeover the weekend of SummerSlam weekend.
And Cole's going to go to SmackDown.
And job out to fucking Reginald.
Wrong brand, asshole.
24/7 title travels both brands.
When's the last time you saw the 24/7 champion on SmackDown?
Doesn't mean it won't happen. Plus, how long is Reginald going to be 24/7 champion? Remember, we got a draft coming up in September.
You're a jackass.
God, Reginald, motherfucker. Goddamn Shawn Michaels wannabe midget.
Jesus. Say it with your chest, why don't you? Damn.
Peel your muffin cap back, Blue.
Why can't I find what I'm looking for?
That fucking backstage vignette with Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark has zero fucking charisma.
Well, we knew that.
I know, but like, they're just putting it out there. But like, this chick ain't got shit. She's a mechanic. Like, that's all she's ever gonna be.
Oh, I can't find what I'm looking for.
Oh, on the note of Joe versus Cross.
Yeah, go ahead while I'm looking for something.
Like, I really don't want Joe as NXT champion again, and I really don't want Cross to have to do the job to fucking Joe. What I would really like is a fucking double cross. I would really like to see Regal fuck over Joe.
What does that accomplish?
It accomplishes Joe is now just a talent. He doesn't have any authority anymore. It shows Regal saying, I gave you this job and immediately you overstepped your bounds. And then automatically expected to be anointed as the champion again once you fucked up and I was left for dead. Because what you did not see was Regal getting laid out. You saw Regal on the floor. You didn't see Cross beat the fuck out.
So you're saying they're setting this up as a swerve where it was Joe that laid out Regal?
No. I'm putting it as a swerve where Regal faked being laid out and Regal's aligned with Cross. It makes for a hell of a lot better storytelling than the obvious, because people think Cross is on Raw now, so Cross is going to go, so Cross has got to drop the title. And no one wants to see Joe as NXT champion. I'm fucking sorry.
So dumb. By the way, the reason I'm stretching, the reason I'm letting you go long on this is because I was trying to see if the numbers came out yet for AEW last night. Sorry. I was checking to see if AEW... yeah, they usually don't come out till later. I was trying to see if they cracked 1 million for the third straight week. Anyways.
I just was not happy that you mentioned AEW.
Well, I just wanted to see if AEW is going to claim victory over WWE when all they can really claim victory over is NXT. Anyways.
Yeah, face, he is not happy.
Who's not happy?
Titus.
Wow.
The second you started mentioning ratings for Dynamite, he was like, "Rrr."
Oh, good boy. Good boy. You've been trained well. Good boy.
Okay, enough.
Yeah. Woof, woof.
Here, come here.
Any Hooser. All right, let's finally get into it. The hot list, motherfuckers. Our weekly list of we do basically we do a topic each week. We create our list of 5 answers for it, or whatever, and yeah, we talk about it. That's what it is. Full disclosure, I've seen JJ's list. He hasn't seen mine. JJ's list had only 2 people I considered because I was coming from a more futuristic point of view. I think you looked at things a little more immediate.
No, I'm looking at over 5 years because this is Vince.
Well, a couple of them I think you were a little immediate on. So here's the topic. The topic is 5 talents we think will be brand champions in the next 5 years, whether it be on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. And when we say brand champions, obviously we mean top guys.
Yeah.
Or in your case, for one of them, a top girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just get right into it. JJ, who is your number 5?
So these aren't really in any order, but as far as it goes, so my number 5. I went with a safe bet, some could say, but I do believe Big E will be a brand champion within the next 5 years. Whether I think his initial cash-in will be a short run, But I think because it's really going to be a litmus test to see how the crowd takes him after becoming champion.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that he's got more than that initial title win in him.
I think the other thing that I think supports Big E here is they've already partially tried this experiment. They did Kofi Mania 2 years ago, or 2 or 3. 2, right? Yeah, 2. They did Kofi Mania 2.5 years ago. And that his title run was what, 6 months-ish?
Yeah.
September, October it ended.
Yeah.
So it was roughly 6 months. We all know how that ended. We don't need to talk about it. And then they didn't really try to have Kofi Mania 2.0, but the idea was teased by booking Kofi for a title match to get squashed by by LSD.
Rashly.
So the Big E approach has been tested for scientific research already. Because I think what we're going to do now is they're going to take sample A and compare it to sample B and go, okay, we know how this went. How does this go? And in my opinion, Big E will, how should I put this? Will win over fans easier and better than Kofi.
Yes, I agree.
Because Big E, to me, is just a more realistic option against a wider variety of opponents than Kofi.
And he's more over the top. He's more of a personality. He looks more formidable. I've been saying it for a while, and people will probably scoff at it, but I believe that Big E is the closest thing this generation is going to see to a Dusty Rhodes.
Say that again?
I said Big E is this generation's closest thing that they will see to a Dusty Rhodes. You know, they say such is the next. I'm not saying Big E is the next Dusty Rhodes, but I'm saying Big E has a potential to be on the same level that Dusty was during his time in the top.
Okay.
He's got that personality. He's got that swagger. He's able to captivate the audiences.
Yeah, I won't argue that. That's, yeah. Trying to think if there's anyone. No. Yeah, that makes sense because I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now.
Yeah.
Real quick before I do my number 5, I'll throw out a couple of names that are not on this list.
Okay.
First off, I did not include Killer Cross or Adam Cole because, as much as I believe they can be champions on the main roster brands, the fact that they won the NXT title kind of diminished them as options for me on my list.
Yeah, that's never going to happen for Adam Cole.
You never know. And then 2 other ones I did not put in are mainly because they're not currently WWE talent yet. But if the right place, right time comes up, they could potentially be on this list. I did not mention Shane Taylor, and I did not mention Jeff Cobb.
Okay.
Because I think if things work out right for Jeff, he'd jump at it. Just because the closest thing I would compare him to right now that they have in WWE is Bronson Reed, and I think he'd blow Bronson out of the fucking water.
Yeah, Bronson Reed is not Jeff Cobb. I've been saying that since Bronson Reed first came out.
Right. So my number 5 is only at number 5 because he's not on TV yet. He's only in the PC.
Mm-hmm.
But based on everything that's been said and given the bloodline he comes from, it's hard for me to see him not at least get some kind of run, short or long term, with one of those belts. Bronson Rex Steiner. Son of Rick Steiner. He's in the PC right now. One would assume he's going to get pushed on the TV not in the near future, but relatively soon at some point, I'd say. I'd say within the next 6 to 12 months, maybe. I mean, he has the Steiner bloodline. How, like, I'm not, like, he's not built like Rick, but I just think given the bloodline, and I believe he was a damn good amateur wrestler from what I recall. I just think that as long as the bloodline carries over, it's hard to not acknowledge that as a potential option.
Depends on his level of personality.
Correct. But I'll put that at number 5 for me, Bronson Rex Steiner. Go ahead with your number 4, JJ.
My number 4, I believe before he is done in this industry, I believe they will give a run at the top of the title to John Morrison. I believe it would be a thank you for coming back for all his years of work. I believe that before Miz got hurt, that they were going to start working the split between Miz and Morrison, because they never really got to do that the first time they were together. And I believe that Morrison was on his way to being in that main event spot when he had his falling out with fucking Laurinaitis all those years ago when they fucking featured Endeavored him live on Raw.
Right.
So I believe that before he's done, he'll get a thank you run as champ.
And on top of that, I think it's hard to argue this point. I believe this is the most personality we've ever gotten out of John.
Oh, yeah.
By far. He didn't have any personality in Eminem. He had some personality with the first run with Miz, but they were still, comparatively speaking to now, green as shit personality-wise.
And like even like his ECW run, like he was knockoff John Morrison. Yay.
Right.
Like, drip is his own shit. Like
that's like,
yeah.
I just don't get how they got Pull Toys over so well. Like, that's just.
I want me an America's Most Wanted shirt. I'll tell you that much. Just to piss off the wife because she hates that word.
Yes, that's what I assumed. Well done. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, I know why this. If this, then that. Number 4. Again, I think needs personality work, but I don't think as much as my number 5. This one I'm not sure you're going to like or agree with. I just think based on the way they were using him before his injury, and we just mentioned him, by the way, and now that he's back, I don't know, there was something about the way he came back the other night that I just liked. I don't know why. I like Ridge Holland.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt.
I don't know if it's just going to be an NXT title push or if it becomes more when he gets to a main brand. Or if they just switch him over to NXT UK at some point and make him be like the guy that beats
Walter.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was in UK though, and they brought him over to America.
Right. That was like right as the pandemic started, I believe.
Right.
So I don't know but I can tell you right now, some point in the next, I had to put a timeline on it, probably the next 12 months he'll be NXT champion, my guess.
Probably.
And then sometime within the next 5 years, he'll probably get a run at a main brand title.
Mm-hmm.
So Ridge Holland's my number 4.
Mm-hmm.
3. Pick number 3, my lord.
So number 3, and I alluded to this a little bit during our talk about Raw. Matt Riddle. I believe that they're anointing him both with Orton wanting to work with him and now Cena working with him both on and off camera. Also because there was trying to think, it was like 2-3 years ago, there was an episode of Pritchard's podcast where basically it was like a Q&A, and on the spot they were like, who do you see being the next John Cena?
Ask Bruce.
What?
Ask Bruce.
Right. Yeah, ask Bruce. And they said, who do you see as being the next John Cena? And this is when Bruce wasn't even working in the office. And he said Matt Riddle. Because if there's anyone who knows how Vince thinks, it's Pritchard. And especially now that Pritchard's there, he can definitely put that worm in his ear. But I mean, it's people like Riddle. He's likable. He's a relatable character. And some of like people are like, oh, he's a knockoff Rob Van Dam. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's far better than Rob Van Dam ever could be. He has the cross appeal from MMA without having to be I'm the tough MMA guy.
Yeah, not Ken Shamrock.
Right. Not Ken Shamrock, not Dan Severn, not Shayna Baszler. Like, he had personality when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. So there was, and he's a Monster Factory graduate. Like, you're almost anointed, you're almost guaranteed.
You just had to add in the Monster Factory thing, didn't you? You jerk off.
Dude, no, it's because there's 2 academies in the United States that produce the highest level of talent that get looked at. And that's the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, formerly Killer Kowalski's, and the Monster Factory. They've been around the longest. That's where people seek out. As far as American-style wrestling goes, and they get looked at. Scouts go to them. If you can make it in with either of those 2 trainers where they keep pushing you, you got a shot. It's just how it is.
All right, so full disclosure, I changed my number 3 halfway through our discussion just now. Because I didn't even have this person on the list, and I'm making them number 3. That's how much this discussion changed. Because, full disclosure, I had Odyssey Jones on my list as my number 3 about 5 minutes ago, which I think is still a possibility. But the more I think about the way current TV is going, and knowing that you have a female coming up as your number 2 or number 1, who knows? It's one or the other because there's only 2 spots left for you. The more I thought, how did I not think of this fucking person the way they're being booked right now? If Toni Storm doesn't get a SmackDown or Raw Women's title run in the next 24 months. Yeah, now, I'm not saying that because I think it's the best option in the world. I'm just saying based on push and booking right now.
Yeah.
They're trending towards a Toni Storm SmackDown title run, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Or they'll have her tread water on SmackDown and then move over. Or depending on, eventually they're going to revisit Toni versus Rhea on a national stage.
Tony is getting the Rhea Ripley treatment.
Yeah.
They're basically giving Toni the Rhea Ripley treatment on SmackDown, and then at some point, like you just said, yeah, I think they revisit the NXT UK stuff they did and try to see how that goes over on the main roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Plus, on top of that, let's just be honest. She ain't the ugliest chick in the room.
Yeah.
She has a look that catches people's eyes. I think she has decent work in the ring.
She's blonde. Yeah, she passes Vince's test.
God damn, she looks amazing. Put her in the main event.
That's how we get Dana Brooke.
No comment. Anyways, go. I know. Go to number 2. Damn it.
So, yeah, so because I wanted to make the list as inclusive as possible. In all honesty, I think she's not long for NXT. I think she's just down there for a tune-up before they put her on the main roster, especially because her husband's already there. And that's Frankie Monet. I see her getting a title run on Raw or SmackDown within the next few years before she's done, before John's done. She's already a character. She's already established. What?
Can I just ask a question about her real quick?
Sure.
What the fuck is that walk she does to the ring? It's like a weird, like like step, hop, step.
She has to do that because of how big that fucking train she has is.
It's just a fucking
because
weird.
if she walks regular, she
Just
has
step
the
all over
ability
it.
to trip up and just fall flat on her fucking face.
Just such.
Yeah, she's got to lose the whole fucking flowing gimmick. Like,
yeah, I didn't even think of that, but I don't know. It's a very weird walk.
I mean, Frankie Monet pretty much is Taya Valkyrie. Like they changed the name.
Change your name, yeah.
You know, anyone that's like, she needs to be going back to La Juega Loca, like she's still fucking Taya.
It's the same shit.
She's still Taya Valkyrie.
Just watch the moveset she does every match. It's the same fucking woman, just a different name.
Right.
She had to get a WWE trademarkable name. She could use Taya Valkyrie and jerk-offs.
Right. Right. But I mean, she'll be on the main roster within the next 18 months. And there'll be a title run within the next couple of years.
My number 2 is not my number 1 for only one reason. Size could be an issue. And I'm stunned he's not on your list. Because you mentioned him a little while ago. Well, we mentioned him a little while ago. I believe you didn't put this guy on your list. Because he's got the personality. He's got a look. He clearly has the skill set. How is our boy, Carmelo Hayes, a.k.a. Christian Casanova, not on your list?
So, if you recall, I said a few weeks ago, I guarantee you by year's end, there's going to be a North American title feud between Carmelo Hayes and Swerve Scott.
Right.
Depends on how that goes, whether they decide to go big, they decide to do more with him, because you got to realize that once we get to the main roster, you're dealing with Vince.
Right.
Size and skin tone.
You had to put that caveat at the very end, didn't you?
It's not me booking. It's
I know.
It's his history. You know, I love the kid to fucking death. But with Vince having the final say, just saying.
It's kind of sad.
It is. It's very sad because the kid fucking deserves it.
But yeah. So Carmelo Hayes is my number 2. Who's your number 1?
My number 1, and this is someone who hasn't even been on TV yet, but I just know that he's going to get pushed to the fucking moon, at least in NXT, and probably on the main roster.
Which probably half our listeners are going to fucking roll their eyes to, but go ahead.
I'm sorry if you want to call it a safe bet. But he really has to show his ilk on NXT first before they make the mistake they made with who he looks like. And my number 1 is Parker Boudreaux as NXT champion. It depends on how well he does there. And in all honesty, the only reason I'm saying it is because there's been subtle hints dropped online about who his manager is going to be. Oh, and that's going to make or break him. What?
Please don't let it be who I think they're... No. Who are you seeing as subtle hints?
Paul Ellering.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Ellering's been dropping hints, but the thing is, you know, if Ellering's his manager, he's only going to be his manager in NXT because Ellering's not going to travel.
Right.
But I mean, everyone's off. Ludwig Braka. Everyone. Is going to be the next Brock Lesnar. Well, he's got to prove himself first. So I'm saying, I guarantee Trips is going to give him every chance in the world. And I guarantee that gives him a run as NXT champion, even for very briefly, to see how he fits in the mold.
And he's got to be able to show personality quicker than Brock did in his career.
Exactly.
So my number 1, I'm going to make a comparison with my argument for number 1.
Okay.
But it's going to make sense. When Randy Orton was signed on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was put in OVW. But he was, for lack of a better phrase, he was hot-shotted out of OVW and put on the main roster pretty fucking quick.
Yep.
Too quick, a lot would say.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm saying this guy is number one for me is because I think they're taking the lessons learned from that fuck up. Not that Orton became a fuck up, obviously. He didn't. He became a 14 times champion. But
the bag shitter.
They're taking the lessons learned of rushing a talent like his too quick and doing it the smart way now. It also helps that Hunter is more involved on an executive level, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Austin Theory.
Yes.
I believe, and this is, to me, this is not just an NXT thing. This is a main roster thing.
Yeah.
He was getting all the praise in the world when he was in Evolve.
Yep.
And
he was the one that unified the titles.
And yeah, and they've taken the smart road with him. They just put him in NXT for a few months, get some TV matches under his belt, and then shoot him up. Now, granted, he did the brief stint on Raw during the Thunderdome with Garza and
it wasn't even Thunderdome, it was still PC.
Or whatever it was, with Garza and Andrade and Zelina.
It was supposed to be with Seth, and then they were like, fuck this.
Right. So, but I'm not even counting that. You look at the way they've used Theory since then. They not only have kept him down in NXT for continued mentoring and growth under all their trainers and Hunter.
Yep.
You also add in working with Johnny and Candice.
Yep.
For as long as they've been together for the way.
Uh-huh.
That is one of the best, as far as the talent roster is concerned, NXT. That is probably one of, if not the best learning trees you could be under. As far as, what was that?
I hate that term. I know, everyone uses it.
It's like moist for your wife. But Johnny's one of the best teachers you could have on the main roster. As far as in-ring and how to carry yourself outside the ring. Because when's the last time you heard anybody say a bad word about Johnny from outside the ring?
Jim Cornette every week.
I'm talking as a human being.
Oh, as a human being. No, yeah. No,
when's the last time you heard anybody say something bad about Johnny Gargano, the human being?
No, Johnny's a great guy.
Fucking never. Yeah. So they've done it. They basically inversed the way they did Orton. They pushed Orton, hotshot him through OVW by himself, and then threw him in Evolution and said, have fun, kid. They've done the reverse with this. They've taken their time. They put Austin in a stable. They had him, sit under the tree. I know I just partially did that phrase again. Sorry. But they're doing the reverse psychology of what they did with Orton 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think that's done nothing but help Theory in the past number of months, to the point where you can say Austin Theory, not that he didn't have personality before, but I think his personality has grown even more since then, and that can only help him in the long run. So I think Erie's like a slam dunk number one.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, so yeah, we've come to the end. We didn't go a 3-hour Broadway this time. We cut it back down to our normal 2, which is good by me. I'm trying to think if there's anything to really tease for. I mean, obviously, we're going to keep an eye on the booking directions going towards SummerSlam in the coming weeks. Because let's face it, folks, believe it or not, SummerSlam is just over 3 weeks away.
Yep,
it's a little on the early side this year, the way the calendar broke down. So, we also got to watch the booking headed towards TakeOver the night after SummerSlam. So, there's stuff to watch out for.
I'm still wondering if TakeOver is going to happen in the CWC or if they're going to have it out in Vegas.
I'm thinking Vegas, but in the T-Mobile Arena, obviously not in Allegiant Stadium. They're not going to sell out a stadium for fucking NXT.
I hope so. Yeah, they're not, but I mean, I hope so.
But I would assume it's going to be T-Mobile Arena or CWC. I'm leaning towards T-Mobile.
I'm hoping,
but I could be wrong. Yeah, I'll lean towards T-Mobile. In fact, I can probably try to get this answer for you real quick if I can type quick enough. Let's see what I can do here. NXT TakeOver 36, correct? Is what they're booking it as?
Yes.
All right. So, well, it's currently being billed from the CWC.
Oh. Damn it.
I know.
We haven't had a fucking good arena-sized takeover since
pre-COVID. Yeah. I know. I'm sorry. I know. Trust me. I'm the same way. I wish they would do that show from the T-Mobile Arena out there.
Especially because having the takeovers in the comparable arenas the same weekend as, like, fucking, that's when Hunter had proof to Vince that, listen, our product fucking sells. You know, like, when they were doing the takeovers from the Barclays Arena and shit like that, they were selling out. Like, Vince can't argue with that.
Let me put it this way, by the way. You know how I know they're not going to be in Vegas for NXT?
Oh. You
know how they usually put out a banner for their travel events in advance?
Yeah. There's nothing.
They haven't even updated the NXT TakeOver banner on their website since In Your House.
Oh, Jesus.
That's how I know they're definitely not traveling to Vegas.
Well, you know, they did just fire a whole bunch of people from the office to consolidate fucking departments.
Yeah, be kind of...
Somebody's behind on their work.
Diamond Joey Styles? No, I'm kidding.
He ain't there. He making Yankees money.
I know. I'm fucking kidding. Jerk off. God damn. Yeah, do you have any parting words? Any words of wisdom you want to lay on the folks?
Nothing I can think of. It's been it's like I dialed back how much I wanted to complain about AEW this week because there was a whole lot more shit. But
I mean, I'll give you time for one more complaint if you want.
It's too many things to. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention, the fucking most serendipitous part of it all.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the pizza cutter. It was hilarious how they went for the pizza cutter spot. Went to pick.
Oh, the Domino's commercial. Yeah.
Like,
you can't tell me that shit wasn't planned.
That was not planned because they don't know.
Oh, come on.
They don't know in the fucking ring when they're going to commercial. Perfect point when they did the fucking spot with Haku. That was during the fucking commercial. They had to go back and show a fucking replay. Oh, that's one thing I did notice. Stupid AEW motherfuckers. They all popped when Tanahashi fucking showed the pre-recorded fucking thing saying I want to come after the U.S. title. They didn't bother to say it's not happening here. It's happening in Japan. Fuck you. And literally, have you noticed something? 2 weeks in a row, they just renewed Jake Roberts' contract, but he wasn't out there with Lance Archer. But Archer's taken the U.S. title back to Japan. Bye-bye. That's the last we saw Lance Archer and the IWGP title in fucking AEW.
So then what becomes of Jake?
They'll stick him with someone else. They'll stick him with Danny Cage.
You mean Brian Cage?
Yeah. I said Danny. Fucking dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Now that Cage isn't part of fucking Team Taz anymore, they'll put fucking Brian Cage with fucking Jake. Watch. Some stupid shit like that.
Just leave Brian Cage alone. Come on.
Just leave Brian Cage unemployed, please. That dude's gonna explode from the roids one day.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not gonna touch that with a 20-foot pole.
No, because if you try, he's gonna pop him and just. You know the opening scene in Scanners with the.
I know.
Whether you touch Brian Cage with a 20-foot pole.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was JJ Alexander. Any complaints can be tweeted to him at JJ_Alexander. Or if you already follow him on Twitter, send a DM to him.
Down there.
No, send him a DM. Don't send me a fucking email. Do not send me a fucking email.
Email Brian.Katie
nope.
at GoToLavinia.com.
Nope. But now that we've pushed that gimmick at the end, we can go right into the goodbye. This has been White Heat, episode 11, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Mohawk Honda and Johnstone Supply. For JJ Alexander, the masked bandit as he was earlier, I'm Brian Cady. I don't know if we're going to get an episode 12, but we'll see. Depends on if we get fired or not after what the fuck he's been saying. All right. Actually, honestly, it's not as bad as some of the other shit you've said. So if we haven't been fired yet, we're in good hands. Any hooser. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
Later, motherfuckers.